What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the stream. Appreciate you guys being here as always. Another two-game Tuesday slate. As always, for the next 30 minutes or so, we're gonna talk through this slate, answer any questions you guys got, and just kind of break everything down. We do actually have some news to go over. Normally on these playoff slates, like nothing really changes. Normally there's no news to talk about, but Mike Conley did get ruled out this afternoon, which does change a decent amount. There is a lot from Utah that I like more, or like now. I like more now that Conley's out. Guys like Joe Ingles, Jordan Clarkson, I think look like really good options with Conley out. I think Embiid's still important. We're gonna have to keep an eye on Embiid's status. I expect he plays, but that'll be something to monitor. And then DeAndre Hunter is the other guy that's questionable. Last game, we saw Kevin Huerter play really well off the bench with Hunter out. I think Kevin Huerter is the guy that I'll be looking to if Hunter sits again. But yeah, that's really the news we're still waiting on. Definitely want to talk about some of these Jazz, though, now that Conley's out. I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably looking to some of those Utah guys. I've kind of been working on my lineups early on, and I'm getting a lot of Utah guys in my lineups. It's hard not to like Ingles, Mitchell. I really like Donovan Mitchell to begin with, and now he looks like a great option with Conley out. See a lot of the members in chat. As always, guys, appreciate you. Appreciate your support. Appreciate you guys being members. Team Money, Derek, Patrick, Mark, my man. What's up? What's up, fellas? Appreciate your takes. No way. I appreciate you being here, man. Appreciate you tuning in, guys. Do want to share something real quick. So in tonight's video for tomorrow's slate, I have a pretty important announcement. I have a partnership with a new company that we're going to talk about. In that video. Be sure to check out my video for tomorrow's slate. Gonna have some information to share with you guys. A new partnership coming. I haven't partnered with a company in basically since I started making videos. I've been making DFS videos for like 4 years now. Never partnered with a company. Just I've had a ton of companies reach out to me, ask to partner, and I've never partnered with anyone. But we do have a partnership to talk about in tonight's video. So be sure to tune into that. I'm excited. I'm excited for sure. Is it Popeyes? I wish it was Popeyes. But no, it is not Popeyes. I like Young and Mitchell as my spin ups today. Mitchell. I already liked Mitchell to begin with. Now that Conley's out, it's hard to not like Mitchell. 8,200 on Draftkings. I'm expecting him to play 36, 38 minutes here. He was kind of limited in that Memphis series, but he should be fully rested now. He's had a week to rest almost. I think we get 36, 38 minutes from Mitchell. And like we saw last night, with Chris Paul, I talked about it in the stream, in my video. Like Chris Paul, with 3-4 days of rest, he was going to get back to playing full minutes at some point. And sure enough, last night, Chris Paul played, 35 minutes, 36 minutes, and he crushed. I think we get 36, 38 minutes from Mitchell. With no Conley, he looks like a great option. Love Mitchell. I think Trae Young is a good play as well. I probably would lean Embiid and Kawhi over Trae Young, but, if you want to go with Trae, I don't mind that. He should be lower owned than Embiid will and Kawhi will, I think. Appreciate that, David. Appreciate the kind words, guys. Thank you. Yes, it's an exciting time. I've never partnered with any company before. I'm always one of those guys that believes if I'm going to partner with a company, if I'm going to start working with a company, I want it to be something that I believe in. If it's a product, I want it to be something that I use daily, and that's the case here. You will see in the video later tonight. But yeah, I'm excited. First ever partnership, and I've been doing this for so long, but I'm excited to talk about it in tonight's video. Been watching you grind for years. Salute. I appreciate that, Little Monster. Thank you, my man. Thank you for your support. I know a lot of you guys have been in here for a while. You've been watching for a while, and I appreciate all you guys, as always. But yeah, if you got questions on tonight's slate, just start throwing them in the chat, and we'll kind of talk through everything. What I said earlier about the Utah guys, Mitchell, Ingles, Clarkson, I really like those guys now that Conley's out. We kind of saw, I want to say for a month or two when Mitchell was out, we kind of saw that Joe Ingles, even though he would start, he really wasn't producing that well. I think Ingles, is going to get back to what he was, really whenever you would get Conley out or Mitchell, whenever one of the two would be out, you would just play Ingles and he would start, play 30, 32 minutes, put up 30, 35 DK points. I think that's what we get from Ingles tonight. He's 4,900. A month or two ago when Mitchell was out for that stretch of games, Ingles was 6K, close to 7K. It was tough to play him then. This is a totally different scenario today now that he's 4,900. If Ingles was 6 or 7K today, I wouldn't be playing him. But at 4,900, he's definitely a top value in my opinion. And he's probably one of my favorite plays overall on this slate now. Mitchell, Curry, Herter, Batum, Gobert, PG-13, Collins, Reggie Jackson. Appreciate that, T-Money. Appreciate that, man. I mean, I think that looks pretty solid. Herter, for me, like, I'm probably only going to go to Kevin Herter if DeAndre Hunter's out. Like, if DeAndre Hunter plays, I don't think I have that much interest in Kevin Herter. But if Hunter's out and Herter, Herter would definitely benefit if Hunter sits. So, yeah, if Hunter's out, I think that's a pretty solid lineup. I would say that, Ingles, Clarkson, I do really like those guys now, with Conley out. So if you want to get one of them in there, like, I would probably rather play Clarkson over Reggie Jackson if you can find the salary. But that's a solid lineup, T-Money. That's solid for now. Kawhi or Embiid? I prefer Embiid, I think. It's definitely close, but I give the edge to Embiid. Collins at 5,600, I'm liking. I mean, yeah, I think Collins is a little bit too cheap. Now, he's been so inconsistent this season. Like, it seems like you never know what you're going to get from John Collins, but he should play 35, 36 minutes if it's a close game, and as long as he's not in foul trouble. 5,600 is definitely too cheap for John Collins. So I do like him in the mid-range. And I hate playing John Collins. Feels like anytime I play him, he never does well. But that price tag makes him super appealing. If Embiid gets ruled out, which center would you go to next? I mean, it would probably be Rudy Gobert. Like, I think Rudy Gobert is the next best center option behind Embiid. I'm expecting Embiid to play. But obviously, if he gets ruled out, you could drop down to Gobert. You could go to Dwight Howard if you wanted to go that route. So, yeah. But I'm expecting Embiid to play. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't. Reggie Jackson, a good play. I think he's in play. I don't think he's like a top option for me. Like I said earlier, I think I'd rather get to Clarkson now over Reggie Jackson, now that Conley's out. But Reggie Jackson's going to play probably 30 to 35 minutes. Last game, he didn't play as much, but he did get into some early foul trouble. And Terrence Mann also played really well off the bench. They kind of gave Terrence Mann more minutes than we expected. I don't think that happens again, most likely. So, if we're going to get like 34, 35 minutes from Reggie Jackson, I mean, he can easily pay off 5,400. It's just, when you have Clarkson at a similar price point that looks just as good and probably has more upside, I think I'd rather get to Clarkson over Reggie Jackson. But, yeah, Reggie Jackson's fine. How do you feel about Simmons, Harrison, and Embiid? I mean, if you maybe choose between the three, I prefer Embiid. Like, Simmons and Harris, I think, their upside isn't as high playing alongside Embiid, and they're not going to be as consistent, but they're still going to play a ton of minutes. Like, you're going to get 38 minutes from Simmons, 38 minutes from Harris. Could one of them put up 50-plus Draftkings points? Like, they definitely could. If I had to play one of the two, besides Embiid, it would be Simmons. Like, I would probably put them Embiid number 1, Simmons 2, Harris 3. But, like, Harris and Simmons, I'm not as interested in with Embiid playing, but they're still viable. I'm still in play, obviously, on a two-game slate. GPP, Trey, Mitchell, Herter, Collins, Gobert, Ingles, Morris, Curry. Trey, Mitchell, Herter, Collins, Gobert, Ingles. I mean, I think that's solid, Nick. Just, the one thing, like I said earlier, DeAndre Hunter, I think is that news definitely impacts Kevin Herter. So if DeAndre Hunter winds up playing, I'd be a little bit hesitant to go to Kevin Herter, but obviously he'd be a really good option if Hunter sits, like he was last slate. Been watching you since 2017. Hey, Jasper, I appreciate that. That's a long time. That's basically when I first started making videos. I think I uploaded my first video like January of 2017. So you've been watching for a while, basically since I started. I appreciate your support. Ingles has been really bad in these last series. He's the primary ball handler when Mitchell and Conley were out. Yeah, he was bad, for that month or two when Mitchell was out. Like, he really wasn't consistently putting up good games. I mean, he'd randomly have like 30 or 30, 35 DK points, but you definitely saw a lot of floor games from Ingles. But I think now that his price is down to where it is, like, he's 4,900. It's going to be really hard for Ingles to disappoint at 4,900. Like, even if he has a floor game and gets like 20 DK points, like, that's still not bad for 4,900. That's not going to kill you. And I mean, 20 DK points feels like the absolute floor for Ingles. I mean, something would have to go really bad for him to score less than that. I mean, I like Ingles a lot. I'm going to be playing him on both sides. You think Zubac will get good minutes today? I really have no idea. I think the Clippers are just going to keep going with their small ball lineup. I think their plan is to kind of take Gobert away from the basket. Like, I think they want to stretch the floor, get some three-point shooters out there. Don't let Rudy Gobert just dominate in the paint. Take him away from the basket. So I'm expecting them to stay with Marcus Morris, Batum, the same starting lineup they've been running. In that Mavs series, especially towards the end of the series, like Game 6 and Game 7, Zubac was barely playing. I mean, he played like 5 minutes in Game 6. He played like 2 minutes in Game 7. I don't know how many minutes Zubac plays today. he could start, like it's a possibility, but if he's not starting, I mean, there's a good chance Zubac plays like 10 minutes, if not less than that. So, yeah, I don't have a ton of confidence in Zubac, but I will say just keep an eye on the Clippers starting lineup later tonight because they could make some changes, but I'm expecting them to stick with what they've been doing. We think about Clint Capella. I mean, I think Capella is going to be low owned, so if you want to play him for the low ownership, that's fine. But I feel better about Gobert. Like if you made me choose Capella or Gobert, I would rather have Gobert. But I think Capella is going to be low owned, especially because he's been disappointing lately. We really haven't seen a good game from Capella in a while. Like in that Knicks series, he didn't really have any massive games. So I mean, you could go to Capella today. It's not a great matchup, but he's fine. He's going to be low owned. I would say, if I was playing a lot of lineups though, I'd have Capella in my player pool. But just one lineup or even a handful of lineups, I doubt I have any exposure to Capella. Tobias or Ben Simmons? Give me Ben Simmons over Tobias Harris. Favorite play that would be 20% owned potentially, or less than 20% owned? Less than 20% owned? I mean, I don't really look at ownership projections, but I think like Bojan at 6K, like I think at that 6K price point, not a ton of people are going to play Bojan, but he definitely gets a little boost without Conley. So like I think Bojan at 6K could be lower owned and makes a lot of sense. I'm not sure what John Collins' ownership is going to be, but if he's going to be like less than 20%, I like that a lot. That's kind of it. I mean, I think if DeAndre Hunter winds up playing, I kind of like him for value for 4,100. I'm assuming DeAndre Hunter is going to play his normal 34, 35 minutes if he's playing, so he could be someone you look to for value. He'll probably be low owned. There's a couple of guys I'm looking at for lower ownership. I mean, it's hard to find guys with a ton of upside that are going to be like 2% owned on a 2-game slate. Like, you're just not going to get that. But if you can find someone that has upside that's 10, 15% owned on a 2-gamer, that's something I look to do. Ingles over Curry or Clarkson? I mean, I probably prefer Clarkson over Ingles, but Clarkson, Ingles, I like both a lot. Congrats, brother. I appreciate that, Estevan. Appreciate that, man. Any interest in favors for value? I mean, probably not. Like, if you play favors, you're just really hoping that, Rudy Gobert gets in foul trouble. That's really the only way favors is going to get more minutes. So, could you play favors and hope that Gobert gets in foul trouble? I guess you could, but I don't think I'm going to go there. How good do you like Herter if Hunter's out? I mean, yeah, like I said earlier, if Hunter's out, I liked Herter a lot last slate whenever Hunter got ruled out, and he had a really good game. He played like 30 minutes off the bench. I'm assuming that if Hunter's out again, we get probably 25 to 30 minutes from Herter off the bench. So he would be a really good value. It's just, we don't have that news right now. Hit the like button for Noah. Congrats, Noah, on the partnership. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, my man. And yeah, guys, if you haven't yet, be sure to hit that like button. I appreciate the likes as always. I do want to hit on this $5 super chat we got from my man Mark. He says, "Thanks, Noah. I have not super chatted in a while. You scolded me. LOL. I figured small amounts are welcome. Good luck tonight, everyone." Thank you, Mark, for the $5 super chat. Yeah, you were donating too much for a while there. But I appreciate the $5 super chat, man. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it. And good luck to you as well, my man. Good luck to you as well. Your name was the GOAT at first until you changed it to Noah. That is very true, Jasper. You're an OG if you remember the DFS GOAT. Those were the OG days. That was when I first started out. Your thoughts on I don't know what you're asking there, Dave. Thoughts on a DraftKings GPP tournament for 25 cent if you were, I have no, you might want to re-ask that question. Can't really tell what you're asking. Can you play Clarkson, Ingles, and O'Neal in the same lineup? I think that's fine. I mean, I think it's fine to play 3, maybe 4 Jazz on this slate. Like, I have plenty of lineups with 4 Jazz in them. So, Clarkson, Ingles, O'Neal, if you want to play those 3 guys together, I'm fine with that. Would you play anyone at 3,400 or less for value? I mean, it's pretty thin down there. Like, there's not much this cheap that I really like. I would say that if Hunter's out again and Solomon Hill starts, like Solomon Hill started last game, he played 25 minutes. He probably would be the first guy that I go to. So probably Solomon Hill, maybe Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann got increased minutes last game. Does that happen again? I have no idea. But for 3,300, he's fine. I think Solomon Hill, if he starts again, is playable too. But those are probably like the only guys I'd be going to this cheap. Just everyone else this cheap just doesn't get enough minutes to be viable. Or you would need like foul trouble or injury for some of these guys to get increased minutes. Scroll up, you missed my question. What'd you ask, Gabriel? Jordan Clarkson at captain with Mann, O'Neal, and Mitchell, or Mitchell at captain with Favors, Morris, and Clarkson. So Jordan Clarkson captain with Mann, O'Neal, Mitchell, or Mitchell at captain with Favors, Morris, Clarkson. I'd probably go Mitchell at captain with Favors, Morris, and Clarkson. Again, Favors on the main slate, I don't have that much interest in, but I guess on Showdown, like Favors would be fine in Showdown. I mean, Favors could score like 12 DraftKings points and still be in the winning Showdown lineup just with how Showdown works. So I'd probably take the second one there. Jesus Christ, I gotta ban this dude. What game will you be watching tonight out of the two? You always have wonderful insight and analysis. I've looked to you in DFS process the last 2 hours for DFS. I mean, but I'll be watching both games, Jaden. I mean, there's only 2 games and they're back to back. Like it's not like they overlap or anything. So I'll be watching both games. But I guess between the two, I'm kind of more excited to watch the Sixers and Hawks game between the two, I guess. But I'll be tuning into both games. We think Simmons, Clarkson, Batum, Collins, Embiid, Curry, Morris, Ingles. Simmons, Clarkson, Batum, Collins, Embiid, Curry, Morris, Ingles. I think that's solid, Ted. I think that's solid. Best players in the 3K range. Yeah, again, Thomas, I mean, there's not much down there that I really like. I think Solomon Hill, if he starts again, is playable for 3,400. If you want to go to Terrence Mann and hope he plays 20 minutes again or 25 minutes again, you could do that. But yeah, it's tough down there. There's not much that cheap that I really like. Ingles over Curry? Yeah, I lean Ingles over Curry, IMAX. Definitely, I think I lean that way. Joel Embiid, game time decision. Well, that's great. I mean, I didn't think we were going to get an update on Embiid anytime soon. Doc Rivers isn't planning on changing the starting lineup and says Joel Embiid is still questionable, a game time decision. Well, okie dokie. Is it bad if I only play one player from the first game? I mean, you could do that, I guess. Like, I don't know if I'd be making lineups with just one player from the first game, but we kind of saw it work out yesterday. I mean, yesterday, like the Nets and Bucks game was like a massive blowout. You saw like a ton of guys disappoint because of that. Like a lot of the stars didn't play in the fourth quarter. So yeah, I mean, if you fade the first game, you kind of have to hope for a blowout or just a low scoring game. I don't think I'd do that, but I guess you could and just like hope for a blowout or something. I mean, it worked last night if you didn't really play much from the first game. I think Blake Griffin did pretty well for his salary. Bruce Brown did well, but like a lot of the stars disappointed in that game because none of them played in the fourth quarter. What do you suggest if you were to enter a 25-cent multi-entry GPP tournament on DraftKings? I mean, I don't know if you're asking to give you a line. I can't give you a lineup, Dave. I mean, I don't give out lineups, so I can't answer that question really. I mean, Ben Simmons a captain with Collins, Korkmaz, and Embiid, or Embiid a captain with Solomon Hill, Maxey. I probably would go. Ooh. So Ben Simmons a captain with Collins, Korkmaz, Embiid, or Embiid a captain with Solomon Hill and Maxey. I'd probably go Embiid at captain. I mean, normally in Showdown, I like to try and get my studs in at captain if I can. I mean, I don't play Showdown that often, but when I do, I think paying up at captain's usually the way to go. So I'd probably say Embiid there. The second one, that is, Embiid at captain. Congrats, Noah. Most honest man on YouTube DFS partnership, much deserved. I appreciate that, David. Thank you, my man. Yeah, I'm excited to announce this partnership later tonight in tonight's video. So be sure to tune in or tonight, tomorrow, whatever you watch. Be sure to tune into the video. See this new partnership I got. I'm excited about it. Mitchell, Mann, Batum, Morris, Embiid, Curry, O'Neal, George. I mean, I think that's solid, David. I mean, Mann's like the one wild card there. Like, I have no idea if Terrence Mann plays like 26 minutes again, but yeah, I think that's solid for sure. I probably would rather play. I mean, if me personally, I'd rather play Joe Ingles over Royce O'Neal, but yeah, I mean, O'Neal's fine to go with. All right, I gotta see if I missed any questions. I had to ban this dude. This dude was spamming just a ton of. I don't even know what he was saying. Anytime, if some dude comes in here and just starts spamming stuff, I mean, they're going to automatically get banned. Green Batum, I don't think I answered this one. Suave, Green Batum or Morris and Herter? Danny Green, Batum, Morris, Herter. If DeAndre Hunter is out, I'd probably go with Morris and Herter. But if DeAndre Hunter plays, then I probably would take Danny Green, Batum. So kind of wait and see for now, but yeah, you got to wait and see with that DeAndre Hunter news. What about Bojan from Utah? Yeah, we kind of mentioned Bojan earlier. I think he's going to be pretty low owned. I don't see him getting much ownership compared to Ingles, compared to Clarkson, compared to Mitchell. So if you want to play a lower owned guy from Utah that has some upside, I definitely have some interest in Bojan for 6K. I think he's somewhat appealing, and I don't think a ton of people are going to play him. Thibault for a value pick, may get some more minutes because of defense. I mean, I don't think he plays more than like 20 minutes. And even if Thibault does play like 20 minutes, like he could still put up 8 DraftKings points. I mean, Thibault's not a good point per minute player. Like for Thibault to have a good game for DFS, like he would have to just get a bunch of steals and a bunch of blocks. I'm not going to Thibault. If I were to play him, it would just be like in a very, very large field GPP where you're just kind of throwing a dart and hoping it hits. Anything other than that, I don't see any reason to go to Thibault on this slate, even a 2-gamer. Thoughts on Danny Green? I mean, look, Danny Green, it's basically the same thing every time. You know, he's going to start and play 30 to 32 minutes. You basically got to hope that he knocks down a couple threes, that a couple rebounds fall his way. I mean, nobody ever feels great about Danny Green, but yeah. If you want to play him, I think he's fine. But I would probably rather play like Joe Ingles, Seth Curry, Batum, Marcus Morris. Like, those guys I'd definitely rather have over Danny Green, I think. Atlanta Bogdan over Utah Bojan. Yeah, I mean, between the two Bogdan, it's crazy. So Bojan and Bogdan, I think I've said this before, they're not related. Bojan and Bogdan, they're not related at all, even though they have the same last name, and their first names are very similar. They're not even related. But yeah, I think Bogdan from Atlanta, he's the better of the two. Patrick Beverley, I don't have any interest in Patrick Beverley. I don't even think he's really going to be in the rotation. Like, he's barely even played. Maybe he plays in this series. I don't think so, though. So, yeah. It seems like Rondo, Terrence Mann, I think those guys are ahead of Patrick Beverley in the rotation. So, yeah, no interest in Beverley. Danny P, $2 super chat. Thank you, Danny P. Thank you, my man. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you, my man. Conley is out, so should I stack Utah? I mean, I kind of said it earlier. Like, I have a lot of lineups today with multiple Jazz in them. Like, I have some lineups with 3 Jazz, some lineups with 4. I think you can play Ingles, Clarkson, Mitchell. Like, I think you can play all those guys in the same lineup. I don't know if Rudy Gobert's role really changes without Conley, but, you know, maybe Royce O'Neal gets a little bump. Bojan, I think, gets a little bump. But definitely Mitchell, Clarkson, and Ingles are the 3 guys that I think really benefit now that Conley's out. Ingles or Clarkson, last man in. I mean, I'd rather have Clarkson there if you have the salary. So, yeah, if you have the salary, I would play Clarkson. But, again, I like both guys. Harris or Mitchell in GPP. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is going to be way higher owned, but I would still probably rather play Donovan Mitchell. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is just too cheap tonight. Like, he should be, especially now that Conley's out, Mitchell should be like $9K. Like, he should be the same price as Paul George, if not more expensive. Like, we're definitely getting a big discount on Mitchell. So, yeah, he's one of my favorite plays today. It's hard not to like him at $8,200. He's just too cheap. Even though he's going to be popular, I still like him. If you guys got any last-minute questions, go ahead and throw them in chat. We're just going to stay live for just a few more minutes. Any last-minute questions you got, you can throw them in, and we'll be sure to answer them. I'm routing Bogdan tonight. I have a feeling they double up on Trey, leading to Bogdan open shots. I mean, yeah, that could happen. I mean, Bogdan, like, you look at Bogdan's game log. I mean, he hasn't really had a massive, like, ceiling game in what feels like forever. I mean, he's been consistent, 36, 31, 36, 32, 35, but we haven't really seen like a 40-point game from Bogdan. Like, at least in that Knicks series, we didn't. I don't know. I feel like his upside's just not. Playing alongside Trae Young definitely, hurts his upside. It's hard for him to put up massive games whenever Trae Young's out there. We saw whenever Trae Young was out for some of those games during the regular season, like Bogdan crushed. But now that he's playing alongside Trae, I feel like the ceiling on Bogdan is just not as high as we want it to be. And at 6,800, you need him to put up like 40+, which he hasn't done in forever, it feels like. Do you play only cash no or GPP? I mean, on a 2-game slate, like, I don't play cash games. I think you can play cash games earlier in the season when there's a lot less sharp money in the field. And also, cash games are just, they're a lot easier in the regular season than they are. Like, in the playoffs, a 2-game slate, like, there's no edge in cash games, I don't think. So, for me, right now, I'm just playing tournaments. I'm not playing cash. But yes, I did play cash during the regular season. Nets will sweep the Bucks. I mean, it kind of looks that way. It's crazy. I thought that was going to be a great series, and the Bucks are just getting ran over. Is Korkmaz a play at 3K? I don't think so. I mean, Korkmaz probably just plays like 10 to 15 minutes, if that. I mean, if you do play Korkmaz, you basically just got to hope that he goes out there and just starts knocking down threes. So it's a dart throw. It's just, a dart throw at best. Do you like Trey tonight? I think Trey's a good option, but I prefer like Donovan Mitchell. I prefer Embiid. I prefer Kawhi. There's other studs I prefer over Trey, I think. 3.9K utility. I mean, the first guy that comes to mind that cheap would probably be, it'd probably be like Maxey, even though I don't love him. I mean, Maxey probably plays like 15 minutes. You could go to him. If DeAndre Hunter's out, you could play Solomon Hill. So probably like one of those two guys, either like Maxey or Solomon Hill. Solomon Hill if he starts. Which two players are you the highest on besides Mitchell? I mean, it's probably his teammates, Clarkson and Ingles. I mean, Clarkson and Ingles I like a lot as well. So, yeah, probably those two. Morris or Batum? I prefer Batum, I think, Mark, but, I mean, it's a coin flip between the two. I expect both Morris and Batum to play 35, 36 minutes. They produce at a very similar rate. I think I give the edge to Batum, but, both are good options in my opinion. Simmons or Gobert? I would go with Ben Simmons there between the two. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up the stream here. As always, guys, I do appreciate you tuning in. Hope you guys have a good night tonight. Hopefully, you can win some money. And like I said earlier in the stream, if you missed it, I have a partnership announcement to make tonight in my video for tomorrow's slate. I think there's only one game tomorrow, so it'll just be like a showdown slate. But I'm announcing a new partnership in my video tonight. Be sure to tune into that, whenever the video launches later tonight or tomorrow, whenever you watch it. But yeah, guys, best of luck tonight. Thanks as always for tuning in. Hope you win some money. Good luck, fellas. Good luck.